Hi, my name is Ryan Scannell, and I'm an associate professor of English and Comparative Literature and also an assistant writing program administrator. And what I'm here to talk about today is academic assignment, or what I'm calling Teaching Plus. Um, Part of what I want to do is to sort of discuss what I did when I was applying for tenure and promotion. In fact, I just learned in June that I was promoted and tenured. So I'm very excited about that. But in retrospect, there were some things that I wish that I had thought to do as I was preparing to put together my dossier, my RTP process, in particular about academic assignment and teaching effectiveness. So if you'll notice on here, when you log into your dossier, you log into the activities section here, I've highlighted 8 of the categories which might be reasonably related to academic assignment and teaching. I think it should be relatively evident just from those 8 that it's not a simple, straightforward category. In particular, when I thought about writing my dossier narrative, what I focused on was teaching. I thought about my academic assignment in terms of teaching. But actually, when I was hired also with an administrative responsibility. So I get a certain number of course releases each year, each semester, to run our first year writing program. And our first year writing program is large. We put about 5,000 students a year or more through first year writing classes. Nearly every student who enrolls at San Jose State in some way or another deals with our program, whether to get credit for classes they've taken at other universities or to take writing classes that they need in order to graduate from San Jose State. I didn't, when I was talking about when I was writing my dossier narrative, I didn't talk about the complexity of my academic assignment. What I focused on largely was my teaching. And in fact, I didn't write this narrative at all. I left it blank. And if I had it to do over again, I think what I would do is take advantage of the fact that you're allowed to write that, in large part because that's a chance for you to say what your academic assignment was, and how people throughout the university should understand it. So I took for granted that people, for example, would understand that my administrative work was related to my academic assignment. And in fact, as I got feedback going up through the process, as it went to the college committee and the dean and up into the university committees and the provost, it became increasingly clear to me on the feedback I got that my academic assignment is really more complex than I gave it credit for. And probably I should have given it better credit. So just to give you some sense, um, academic assignment may include administrative roles. So it does in my case, as I said, part of my responsibility is administrative. And what that entails in my case is I run faculty seminars, I train our teaching associates, I'm responsible for assessment. All of that is in my hiring paperwork. I was hired, that was part of my assignment when I was hired. It's not teaching proper, and but nevertheless, it's part of it. It is an explicit part of my academic assignment that I basically just didn't talk about in a lot of what I said in my larger overall dossier. It could also include certain service roles, right? So if you're a chair or a graduate advisor, oftentimes those include course releases, which would be related to your academic assignment. It's different in different departments. It's different in different colleges. So some of this are things you'll have to clear up. Some of these are things you'll have to clear up with your chair or your dean. Nevertheless, they may very well be part of your official academic assignment. And those are things that you're going to want to talk about when you're talking to both the committees at your department level, but up through the committees through the college and university level. Certainly there's teaching as a part of academic assignment. I'll come back briefly to that, but I wanted to point to library assignments, which often don't include official teaching, that don't include formal classroom teaching, but have a whole series of academic assignments related to teaching and other expectations and responsibilities. Um, and it's important, I thought, to include that here because it sort of shows the complexity of what might go into academic assignment. And even if teaching is all you have in academic assignment, you'll notice I've got a large arrow pointing to the right here. Um, that may include large lectures, seminars, labs, studios, independent studies. As I said, I teach in the English department, so most of the classes that I teach are actually writing classes, which means that our course caps are somewhere around 23, 25, depending on the course. Um, Sometimes a little larger, sometimes a little smaller. I don't teach large lecture classes. But what I do have is a much smaller number of students, but they take a lot of feedback and individual instruction. And it would be useful for somebody who is in a different discipline and has a different experience to understand what it means to be a teacher in a small seminar class that nevertheless requires a lot of drafting and feedback. Likewise, if I'm on a tenure committee, I don't teach labs. So it would be useful for me to know what a lab means in the greater context of academic assignment for somebody, say, in the sciences or engineering. So it's useful, I think, for us as academics, not just to imagine that number one, academic assignment is only teaching, but number two, that teaching itself is straightforward. Um, this narrative section gives us a chance to talk about all the possible things that we are involved in. Um, so what I did do is I talked about teaching in my overall narrative. What I didn't do is write an individual narrative describing my academic assignment more broadly and contextualizing my work and my time at San Jose State in that larger academic assignment. If I had it to do again, I would obviously write that narrative. And what it would include is a sort of broad theoretical description of what I think I do as a teacher, what my values are as a teacher. I would talk about the various practices that go into it. So that might, in my case, it would include the administrative work I do, the teaching I have done, the parts of the administrative work that align with the teaching I've done. I would also talk about related activities. So to give you an example, I was invited by the Writing Across the Curriculum program, which is it's a program that provides workshops and other sorts of resources for faculty who want to learn how to teach writing in their classes, whether you're in an engineering class or you're in a chemistry class or dance class, whatever it may be. They give workshops and resources to help you incorporate writing into your classes. And so I was invited to give a faculty seminar, which is very much related to my field. It's very much related to my academic assignment. It's very much related to my administration and my teaching. And so while it's not officially a part of my academic assignment, it is nevertheless related and sort of demonstrates how my academic assignment moves out beyond even the formal expectations. The other thing that I would make sure that I did in my narrative is I would contextualize my observations and my SOTs. And I would talk about the ways that those may be related to what I've done, may be not reflective of things I've done. To give you one example, in the last semester before I applied for promotion and tenure, I taught a class that I completely redesigned from scratch. So it was a brand new prep, essentially. And some of it went really well, and some of it didn't go as well as I had hoped. And that was reflected in my SOTs. And probably I should have taken the opportunity in my narrative to say, these are the reasons that I redesigned it. These are the things that I thought were important. These are the parts of it that I thought really worked well. And these are the things that didn't work as well as I wanted, but nevertheless, here's how I would improve them in the future. Here's how I would learn from the less than perfect example of this case in order to grow and learn in the future. So overall, what my goal in this thing would be to set my assignment, my academic assignment, in its sort of complex context for people who don't necessarily understand all the various complexities, all the various elements of my academic assignment, and talk about those in terms of who I think I am as a scholar and who I think I am as a teacher and who I think I am as a faculty member at San Jose State University. I hope this was helpful. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions that you think I can answer, and good luck.